What about now? What about now? I'm sitting here with the mute button. It was muted, okay? You're laughing at me. It was muted the whole time. I kind of had it on. So, greetings and Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let me greet everyone who is in the space. It's good to see you all. You can hear me now. All right, beautiful. Thank you, Chief Yuya. Thank you for being space. Greetings and greetings, Kashia, Ipaco, Bahamas. Sister Kashia, I called you already. Thank you so much, Sister Deidre. All right. And Brother Antonio. All right, Bahamas and Huts. So I in new fashion, I want to open up the space and, just with some words of gratitude to the Most High for, bringing us through another solid strong and giving us an opportunity to meet and commune and share in edification with each other. Give thanks for, placing the word songs on my mouth and placing all of the knowledge within the mind and the spirit of Chief Yuya so he could share it with us and we can learn and build from it and share it with you all. All right. Give thanks to Chief Yuya, the author of this text as well, that we'll be discussing today on this lovely Shema evening. I am going to start off with a condensed excerpt from the text. And actually, I want you all to share in the chat, how was your strong, right? I know normally when we jump onto Shema, we just like, I know I just dive right in. But in the chat, you can share, just quickly share, how was your strong? Um, you know, what's going on? What's going on with you right now? Are you relaxing? Are you wrapping up still? Sun's down. So, let us know in the chat. Safta Gertrude, greetings. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. So I'm going to read the condensed version while you all, share a little bit in the chat. This book is is not to be read only once. Please don't read it only once. Don't do that. Read the words of this book of knowledge and wisdom out loud and discuss the convictions of this work with your Anu brothers and sisters. Share this information with your people. This publication should be read daily. Every line in this book can be taken out of context and studied on the strength of its own potential. And I challenge you to do that. And the truth is to be deliberated, right? And this text was given to us by Chief Yuya Asana Nu. Let's deliberate. Let's deliberate. I feel like every time we're here to have this build on Shema, it's all about deliberation. So greetings. I see the Mishpacha coming in. Everybody is coming in smooth, coming in hot, coming in strong. Ipaco Bahamas was here first, y'all. Very first. I was sitting here with the mute button off, watching the comments and putting everything together, and I saw Ipaco Bahamas pop in first. All right. The house or home, I'm reading the excerpt from today's paragraph. We are in the second paragraph of the economics section of the Anu Way. We were in family for a while. The interesting thing is this section, part 2 of this section, is another paragraph or excerpt from the 14 keys. And it goes like this. The house or home as a representation of the human will also become a representation of the human mind. So the house is an expression of one's wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and spiritual telepathy. There is a direct connection among the way we observe economics with the way we discern the owning of our own intellectual property. An empty house can be allegorized to an empty mind. An empty mind is an impoverished one. The house or homestead can be comparatively related to our bodies. Our houses are the shelters and abodes. In some instances, we even refer to the house as the temple, right? I know you probably hear that a lot. And there's a sacred indication inherent in the concept of a house or homestead that reaches beyond um, that of a mere physical shelter. If we do not control the mechanisms that back our homesteads, we can deduce that we do not administer our lives or minds. Cooperative economics not only designs a pathway for the flow of currency, but also cultivates the interdependent relationships needed for controlling the life of our community. All right. So we spend spent a whole year talking about family and family structure and building up family. The truth is, family is a foundation, the foundation of the community. The family has to be built up on strong economics, right? So, it just runs so seamlessly, right, from family into economics. And I see the importance of linking the two so strategically. All right. So before we start jumping in and talking and sharing, just give me 1 second. I feel like I lost a bunch of, I lost my screen. I had it up for a minute. But let's see what's going on. All right. So Chi says, my strong was not as fatiguing as my strongs typically are. And thanks, Phil, for that. And we are grateful for the fact that there's an ease up happening. Willingly it tapers off, and you could stand here and say, it was not fatiguing at all, and you were just able to rock out. That's a good thing. Ipaka Bahama says, this strong was beautiful, sis. Working on family plans, they are balancing evolution and elevation. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Moving forward every time. I will let all of those plans and so on move forward, right? Safta Gertrude said greetings, and Sister Kashia says, Sister Kashia, you over here working, you're working the mind here. You're working. Because one of the first things I wanted that popped out to me was, of course, in the reading of this piece was house. All right, because that's exactly what we start off with, the house. The house or home as a representation of the human will also become a representation of the human mind. I think I'm reading this correctly. So I want to test everybody's Hebrew. I want to test your Hebrew. So, and I think it would be fitting to open up with a quick test or recall. So see if you could switch, you can switch your keyboard to Hebrew, and I want you to write out the word for house in Hebrew for us, right? As quickly as you can. Do it fast. Because when we talk about, I think, just the value of the Hebrew words are helping me to even understand the depth of the Anu way as well too. It isn't just the English, but the Hebrew word and what it actually means, right? And I was even looking at the numerical value to it, right? The idea of it being two and it being duality as well. I think that's a really important thing to kind of look into. Of course you're gonna get it first. Of course you're gonna jump in and type it first. Is there anybody else? Anybody else kind of was able to switch the keyboards? I know I have to constantly switch my keyboards back and forth to get Hebrew. But anyway, I'll give one or two others an opportunity to jump in there and try their hands at it. I knew it. All right. I see another version of it, right? Another version of it. Do I remember how to select? Yes. Oh my goodness. I love it. All right. Everybody's betting. We have what is it called? How do I pluralize it now, Deidre? Big team. That's right. We have all the houses written in the comment section. Thank you, Sister Kashia. Thank you, Chief Yuya. Thank you, Sister Deidre, Sully, MPH. All right, so I'm looking at the ones with the Dagesh. So Chief Yuya has Bait written with the Dagesh. I'll put up Sister Kashia's. This is Bait. This is Bet Yod Tav, for those of you wondering. And then Chiefs is slightly different. Chiefs has a Dagesh at the center. Let me know if that's accurate. The accent. Yes. I knew he was going to say that. The accent. That Dagesh is necessary because it helps to differentiate between the vet, the V, and the B, right? Bet. Bet is B, right? It's B-E-T. Not B, that B-E-T. Not that B-E-T. Okay? It's bait. So Sister Deidre also has Vet Yod Tav. So this is correct because we're looking for the one with the accent grave. No, accent grave is not correct. That's French. It's the Dagesh. All right. But back to the reality of today's conversation, the house as a representation of the human and a representation of the human mind. I'm going to jump to Chief's share because he shared a biblical reference, First Corinth. What? Know ye not your body is a temple of the Ruach HaKodesh? What is in you which you have of Yahweh, and ye are not your own? Temple is head. Yah foundates in the head, I see. Temple is head. I'm glad that I read this too because in another section of this I kind of walked away. I was like, okay, the I was thinking of the saying that people always say, your body is the temple, right? So I'm glad that you were able to say temple is equal to head, Chief, because I literally walked away from. I was skipping across past the window this evening and thinking about it and saying, yeah, the temple is like the body. So this is wrong. This is wrong. And it makes sense because the reality is we're talking about the house being a representation of the mind and the human mind. And so yes, the brain and the mind are separate, but the mind is actually in that leadership position and that position of authority, leading, right, and guiding. And we see that when we start exploring the rest of this paragraph, we really see when it starts to talk about the intellectual property, and really start to think about the fullness of what that is and how it transfers into all of the things that we create and do and make, right? So it is, I see that definition that you're providing here, that the temple is head. And also understanding too that there's that movement of authority from the spirit of the Most High, from the Most High to the head, right? And then that transfers to everyone else in the house or the homestead. All right, I think everyone's moving. This is moving quickly. Yeah, it's accurate. You forgot who taught you Hebrew, huh? Oh, the gash is what's missing. Thank you, Sister Naya. Thank you. All right, let's keep moving. Greetings, Shabbat Shalom, Anu Mishpacha, thank you. Top tier speakers, welcome. Precious Stephanie. The copy and pasting. Oh my gosh, that's not right. She says, I don't mess with Google Hebrew. Our elders give us our language, not artificial intelligence. Yeah, this was just a minute ago. Yeah, the Google Hebrew will get you in trouble, all sorts of errors there. All sorts of errors there. All right, so we're kind of pretty much caught up with everyone. I also thought of a connection to this particular paragraph, right? It's a lot in here. So we may have either an extended conversation this evening, or it might just be quick just because of how much is here, right? But I also think about a piece from the 14 keys that kind of speaks to the body. It says the body feeds from itself and has a series of interdependent parts. So I'm going to go back to the idea of the temple being equivalent or equal to the head, because we also Anu, pardon me, excuse me, I'm having a hard time with a dry throat. Anu also teaches us that, like women are the economy, right? We are the economy, but we have to have a leadership, right? We have to have leadership, and that leadership in the homestead is the head, or is the authority, is the man, right? So we could talk about being the economics all we want. There must be that guidance, right? And that's what I think about when I read the body feeds from itself and is a series of interdependent parts, right? So the body is not moving without guidance or a head. Put a sock over there. I don't have a sock close by. Oh my goodness, I do have water, but it's a big old carafe. I don't want to look horrible. All right, so I know, right? A sock. Why a sock? All right, I'm getting distracted, so I'm gonna move on. But the mind is. I also thought about the idea of the mind being the gateway to all spiritual experiences. And if the mind is the gateway to all spiritual experiences, I think it connects in that, when we think about the second, that second sentence that tells us that the house is an expression of our wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual telepathy, right? And I think Sister Kashia was doing a little bit of that earlier when she put the debate in the chat because I don't know how she knew I was going to do that, right? Greetings, Cassie Darwin. I didn't see you there. Welcome. So welcome. So yeah, the house is an expression of one's wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual telepathy. And we know, like when we break down wisdom using 120, for those of you who know it, can you share really quickly in the chat, what does 120 teach us about what wisdom is, right? As quickly as somebody beats Sister Kashia to it. Come on, Ima. Precious. Come on, Ima. Let me see who's here. Top tier speaker. Somebody beat her to it. Quick, come on. What does 120 tell us about what wisdom is? Yeah, it seems like I'm gonna have to take a quick jump off. I see new comments. Yeah, the weather forecaster has been talking. Oh, okay, you're talking about snow. Yes. And I ask because when we think about the idea of the house being an expression of these different not concepts, but these different items, right, that we express or that we have or that we reflect, it makes it, I can't stop thinking about the reference to intellectual property lower down, right? Yes. Okay, I will. Do you all mind if I roll off camera for a second, please? Oh my goodness. Feel bad. Oh my goodness. I'm on mute. I feel so bad. Thank you. I did it. It's not that bad, is it? Oh gosh. Make me feel good about that. I had to roll off camera. I did. I did it, y'all. I had to roll off camera. All right. So wisdom. I ain't see anybody putting anything in the chat, so I'm just gonna go ahead. You know, manifestation, Ipaco Bahamas. Boo boom, you came through. I don't know what the boo boom is supposed to be, but thank you for coming through. Manifestation of one's knowledge. It is that supreme manifestation. And it's like it releases us, right? It releases those who are tied to it releases the dumb from being tied to darkness, right? So I immediately think about, when I go back to thinking about the house, I'm thinking about now the idea of creating, right? And forming and making um anything for that matter. But whatever it is that you're creating and making is always going to be a reflection of the knowledge that's received or the knowledge that has been taking. It is, thank you, it is to wise the dome, right? The dome, the brain, the head, the mind, right? Chief says, so let me read from Ipaco Bahamas. Manifestation of one's knowledge. Sister Kashia, wisdom is wise words in action. I waited. Okay. She waited. All right. Excuse me. I was. She says it was only bad when we heard the gulps. Oh, goodness. I muted. You did not hear the gulps. I muted. Okay. Naya says it's a manifestation of one's knowledge, reflecting the light of the sun. Very good. And the sun, in this case, for those of you who are not necessarily familiar with all, like the depth of knowledge that 120 offers, that sun is that knowledge, right? And if we're talking about a homestead, that's in a homestead, and we were previously talking about family structure, the sun here is the man, right? The sun is that light from the man. And it goes back to Chi's previous First Corinthians reference, where he states that the temple is the head or the authority. All right, so that's really important to think about, and how, like intricately I think these connect. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. I have a question or two, but they're connected to the later components of the reading. Sister Kashia, yes, I read that piece. She says, wisdom is the original woman who is preceded by knowledge. Wisdom can be right or wrong depending on the order it unfurls in relationship to knowledge. Chief, what do you mean by wisdom can be right or wrong depending on the order in which it unfurls? Precious says, wisdom is the application of knowledge. It brings forth the best parts of life. Right. So it's interesting because the house here, again, I'll go back to the idea of expression of our knowledge and our wisdom. And here, I like the fact that you're saying wisdom is the application of knowledge. So it's funny because for years I used to always hear, people say, knowledge is power, knowledge is power. And I came, like upon discovering I knew, I would always hear Chief say, application of knowledge is power. And that kind of shifts your whole thinking, it shifts your whole thinking because you and I'll talk for myself. Like I realize if you don't take that knowledge and do something with it, it sits there. It's nothing. And if we're talking about the building up of a homestead, we're talking about economics, which is the management of the home and establishing and sustaining, the homestead. Then in order to do that, economy must go beyond just, yeah, I have this knowledge, yeah, I have this skill, but how is it being utilized? What is it being used to create or make or do for the home and the community, right? She says, wisdom is also, too, the outer reflections that men often appreciate in women come in two, representing duality: breast, buttocks, lips, eyes. Interesting. Interesting. Wisdom is the foundation for the original child. Interesting. So wisdom. So does wisdom this? I think my question is gonna take us away from this. So does wisdom, apart from its reflection in the feminine body, does wisdom manifest itself in just this on the planet itself in pairs consistently? Is that something like that we can, look beyond the female body and actually see consistently? She says some seek experiences before gaining proper education. They become wise to the experience, but we may still lack knowledge. What of the occurrence? Example, sexual intercourse without elder guidance. Uh-huh. This is true. Thank you. So that statement is actually connected to the very first point that Chief made, and I kind of asked, well, how, I think I asked him, how is it that how can wisdom be wrong if it unfolds in an inaccurate order and incorrect order? And he was saying, like this is his response. So I don't have to say it again. All right. The cart before the horse. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. You know, we that's good, because a lot of the times I think sometimes we skip the knowledge. Those of us who do skip the knowledge, because of that gathering information or gathering knowledge about an experience, and jump to the experience, because sometimes we hear like, oh, you're a tactile learner, or you learn by doing, but sometimes even the learning by doing is not beneficial, because you haven't gotten the how to. And sometimes we need a how to, right? Going back to your example, sexual intercourse without guidance, right? Elder guidance specifically. Thank you for that, Chief. Top tier speaker says wisdom is the original woman who reflects the light of her man back to his children. All right. All right. All right. All right. So we have wisdom and all the components of wisdom showing up. So we see how, it's important to really pull on the wisdom, which is the feminine aspect, let me not put the cart before the horse, the knowledge, which is the masculine aspect, or the foundation of all intelligence and all experiences, all thoughts, all things, right? And that is what knowledge is, and that's represented by the man. And again, the house is an expression of these items, these things. It's also an expression of the woman, right? So that's that reflecting, that's that manifestation piece, right? So it's the taking the knowledge and applying it. And I think your point, top tier speakers, actually helps to round this off, because as the woman and as wisdom, there's that reflecting, but you're taking that knowledge and reflecting it, but also sharing it and passing it on in the household, right? So that's how the home now becomes this expression of all these components. She says there are females out here who have had 25 years of unconscious menses cycles, but I can tell them the science behind the blood and process, but I will never be wise to it or understand it. I see. I see. And that's because you don't necessarily have a womb to experience blood from the perspective of the cycle, right? But you do have that knowledge of it. I understand. And then he also says, wisdom can be an original woman who is still deaf, dumb, and blind. Her wisdom is degraded like a polluted well. To be moon, she must reflect said light. Thank you. She must reflect said light. She must reflect said light. All right. All right. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Sorry. It's interesting. I think I'm still stuck on the second sentence. Uh and I want to go a little faster. It's already 7:05 and I haven't even budged yet. But I wanted to also jump to the part that talks about communication or transferring of knowledge or wisdom, communication, right, by other means of senses. Because like, I think I could say we are multisensory beings, and when I say multisensory, beyond like the five senses. So I think it's interesting that the idea of the house being an expression of wisdom and knowledge, but also this idea of communicating or transferring of ideas, thoughts, and information or knowledge, or imparting of it beyond speaking, right? And beyond just our somatic experience. I think there is something very critical when it comes to, like when we talk about the house. And then I think it also brings me back to this idea of faith, right? In the 14 keys that speaks of, those in a community connecting and communing beyond, right? Beyond just the physical interaction that they actually have. The next piece that I'm going to jump to is a sentence that says, there is a direct connection among the way we observe economics and the way we discern the owning of our own intellectual property. So one of the questions that I actually have is, and I guess I'm going to have to sneak off and grab some water again. You won't hear any gulps this time. What are some here? All right. So this is the question that I wanted to pose. In as we talk about economics and discerning our own intellectual property, and how there's a direct connection between the two. The question I wanted to pose to you all, sorry. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you. What are some areas of intellectual property you possess? How can it contribute to the economic development of a homestead? And wherever you are, you could substitute a homestead, my homestead, your homestead, his homestead, her homestead, she homestead, the people homestead, a homestead, right? What are some intellectual property you possess? How can it contribute to the economic development of a homestead? All right. And, remember, Brother Antonio kind of explored the idea of economics, right? The management of the home and establishing, but also maintaining and sustaining this homestead, right? But I thought that the part that stuck out to me here was observing economics and discerning our own intellectual property. And every time I come across the word discern, I hear being able to see the truth. Every time I see it, I can hear Chief, I think it was from one of the Commander days. He shares that when you are able to discern something, you're able to see the truth of it, right? And on the truth that lies, whether it's beneath it but you're able to see the truth of what your intellectual property is. And I think it's not just, discovering what you didn't have. I think it also comes from being honest about what you do have and what you do not have, So as you all work on that question, I will mute and go drink some water, like really quickly. And if you're thinking about, intellectual property, it like literally refers to tangible things that we can create, but it's because it's being created from our minds, right? So that's why it's intellectual. I mean, some people will argue that it's the brain, but I can't stop thinking about how spirit actually influences a lot of the things that we do or create, and how we help to use those things that we create to build the home or to build the economy of the home. So again, intellectual property are those tangible creations or tangible things that we form using our human intellect. UT. I feel bad. I'm so sorry. All right. I have an answer. If I'm moving too fast, please let me know. Maybe I am talking a little too fast and need to slow down a little bit. But I'm overwhelmed by how much is here. There's so much in this paragraph. Um, Chief shares his response. She says, I know how to infuse spiritual sciences into wealth building and market forecasting. This has taken stress from my homestead because the emphasis on earned income is lessened. Infuse spiritual science, wealth building, and market forecasting. Well, what is market forecasting? And I know you're going to say, this is not, you're asking questions again. But well, market forecasting sounds, I'm intrigued by what it sounds like. Um, but I'm glad that you gave the examples because, and you also say that you also back it up by saying it lessens the emphasis on earned income is lessened. Because then I think it connects to one of the latest sentences that speaks about, and I have a question about that, right? What do we use to back our homesteads, right? Are we controlling what we use to back our homesteads? That's pretty important. So, still waiting on other answers. Anyone, any type of intellectual property that you possess that can contribute to the economic development of a homestead, your homestead. Brother Antonio says, I will. An area of intellectual property that I possess is my creative capacity and ability to create and design visual media. Good, 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 good. This can help the economics of the home in the contractual work it can supply. Good. Um, Chief is given a little bit about market forecasting, so I'll pop over to that in a little bit. I think about the idea of, in the 14 keys, we talk about um, this idea of interconnected businesses, right? Where we, what I have and what I create, or the economics that I create, cooperative economics, the economics that I create and establish and sustain can be connected or networked with another, right? Within our same community. And that creates strength, strengthens our bonds and our ties. And it's not just about bartering, but it's about how, like how can we create business where I'm creating the mechanics of one thing, or maybe the locals or the designs of one thing that helps to support the one aspect of a community's company, right? So it's interesting that you speak about designing visual media and creatives, right? Because content creation is huge right now. And when I think about what is also important too is that you mentioned contractual work, right? Which goes right back to Chief's point that he made earlier, which is the idea that him doing what he does kind of helps to the emphasis. It this has he says this has taken stress from his homestead because the emphasis is um, on earned income is lessened, right? So I think when it comes to passive income, when it comes to creating spaces of, you know, not just earning income, but creating money even while you're sleeping, and creating spaces to increase the wealth and increase the economy in the home that utilizes what we already have, whether it's gifts or talents. I definitely think that, those are important ways to steer, our homes to right now. And sometimes we may be fighting. Let me stop coughing because I don't want to have to get off here and go and drink water again. But I guess what I'm saying is, we're even in this time, I realize that there's a push toward a lot of digital, right? Digital experiences, whether it's working experiences or even contracts, right? Whether, no matter what it is, everything is going digital, even the way we pay for things, right? And when I say the way we pay for things, meaning the currency, right, that is being utilized right now. There's a whole shift happening. I'm not going to jump into that right now because it's taking me down another path, right? But Sister Kashia says, I am able to communicate effectively and locate needed resources. This can add to a homestead with the call to manage as women. Very good, especially the idea of locating needed resources. Being able to see what's needed, but not just see what's needed, but know where to find it, right? And being able to compile a database and move through it and use that to kind of support the homestead is, a part of effective management. All right, so jumping back to Chief's point about the market forecasting, which I almost forgot. He says every summer the store raises the price of dragon fruit. I think they will raise it again this summer based on the historical pricing. Simple concept, but tricky work. I see. I see. I see. I see. I see. I see. It is. So you're looking at the market and its fluctuation over a period of time, and you're making decisions about where you put your money based on that simple concept. And thank you very much for the dragon fruit example. That helped to drive the point home. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Thank you very much. That was very helpful. um See, you all, how much game I did not bring in market uh forecasting into this conversation at all. But no matter what type of dialogue we're having on Shimanu, there's always an infusion of increased knowledge, and there's just always so much more added to the deliberation. So don't miss them. Don't miss them. Come on back. Brother Antonio says, these cute sips of water ain't good. Just drink the jug and spray your raw Vicodin. Okay. All right. I'm nervous about that. Okay. I could, yeah. She says, true. Oh gosh, Chief. Please, can I just keep the sips on the side, please? Sister Kashia says, I am also creative in visual and audio media, as well as some knowledge on how technology works. This too adds to a homestead through the call of management as women. This is true. This is true. This is true. Why are you laughing, Sister Kashia? What's that about? That was 5 minutes ago, so I don't know what it was about. Um, all right, so thank you. That was good. That was good. Anyone else? I know we have a few people who were on board, but I don't know. Ipaco Bahamas, do you have anything to add? Um, she says there are multiple markets, of course, monopoly markets, competitive markets, oligopoly. What is oligopoly? And more. We're going down a hole tonight because I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask. Um, so there are multiple markets, she says. And Brother Antonio says, yeah, keep up the dignified cost with your pinky as well. Okay. I might just have to, you know, I might just have to chug it. Oh my goodness. I could see myself stopping the camera though. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I don't know if I can do it. All right. There's a lot to cover, so let's keep going. And if you have any questions, please jump in and share. Please jump in and share. Well, I did not share some of mine, so let me just share some of mine. Some of the uh, things that I can do, and like I am I have not done it in a long time, but I really enjoy and can work with machine shop engineering tools. And, like if you give me a welding machine, I'll know exactly what to do it. I can create something from it. Uh, at this point, I might be able to create something from it without harming myself. Yeah, it's been so long. Sakashia says, go on ahead and drink up. I'll drink up. I'll drink up. And I am into raw food, um, herbal blends, creating herbal blends to support people. They're just, like there are a few things that I can do. And I'm sharing these things, they are tangible, but recipe making and creating herbal blends are, like these are sought after skills. And there's a lot happening when it comes to some of these, especially virtually, right? I think some people still have apothecaries and so on open, but there's a lot of that happening online or virtually right now. So for those of you who are listening, yes, I will. For those of you who are listening, and you want to jump in on this question, please, after we conclude the Shema, please come back and place some of your ideas and some of the things that you came up with in the comment section below. That would be awesome. All right, Chief keeps coming. An oligopoly market is one where there are only a few suppliers for a particular good or service. Hmm. So it's connected to oligarchic. Okay. Telecom companies, automobile manufacturers, and even some airlines would be an example. Okay. So it's about monopoly. Well, it's not about monopoly, but I see. Whoa, this is a whole new world for me. This is a whole new world for me. Thank you. I'm gonna pop it on the screen so anybody who's like hearing me mumble in the background could see it. Thank you very much. She says, if you don't know the basics of business inside of the economy, you are subject to all of your skills. Um, you are subject to all of your skills mean nothing other than another thing to exploit, or your IP may be worthless and you may not know. I see. So you have to know the basics of business inside the economy you are subject to. This is true. This is true. This is true. This is true. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm gonna put it up. I'm learning. Lessons. And reiterated lessons, some too. All right. So next, An empty house can be allegorized to an empty mind. And I put the two together. An empty mind is an impoverished one. You know, what I like about this particular, let me take the question off. What I like about this particular section in economy, it precedes education. And when we get to education, there's a lot of conversation around building knowledge. But then there's a section that speaks to really tapping into spirit and connecting with the Most High, and understanding that, like, you're not the resource of all the ideas and all the thoughts and this. You're not the resource, right? So when I think about an empty mind being an impoverished one, and let me know, what you all think about this. But when I think about an empty mind and an impoverished one, I think about a mind or a person who is not connecting with the Most High, right? I think about, because then it means that you're not, you have cut off that source, right? But I also think about minds that, especially female minds, with no particular head, no authority. Um, Single women, right? Single women who have no, or are not taking guidance, or have no authority to lead or instruct. So those are some things, and there are times when I think we definitely see we see everything, like we see the business, the flourishing, and so on. We see all of the things that society tells us is a manifestation of success. Um, but there are times when internally there's a disconnect, So every time I came across or reread this piece, an empty mind is an impoverished one, I think about an impoverished mind being disconnected from the source, or being disconnected from the Most High. Please feel free to share what your ideas are. If you have a thought about an empty mind is an impoverished one that is contrary to mine or builds on it, please jump in the chat and share anytime. I'm going to move on quickly because, again, we have so much to cover. The house of our homestead can comparatively relate to our bodies. Our houses are the shelters and abode of the living spirit. All right. So there's normally, and this is where I shared earlier, that normally we make a reference to the body as the temple, right, housing the spirit. But the house can be compared or related to our bodies. And our houses are the shelters and abode of the living spirit. So if that's the case, and earlier we spoke about the house being a representation of the human. So physically, I can look at a home, and I think Brother Antonio actually touched on this last Yom Shishi when he spoke of, just the wearing of clothing being, a representation of who we are, right? So then the house also becomes an extension of that human, or the human mind. So you can kind of assess what's happening to a person, or where their mind is, or what's going on based on what you see in the physical house or the home. All right. And also whether there's again a connect or a disconnect to spirit. Whether there's a connect or a disconnect to spirit. I have another question. I'm just going to pop it on here. Chat is very quiet. It is directly connected to the next paragraph, so I'll actually wait. I thought it was closer. Okay, this is not new. This is from the other time. All right, so I'll continue. In the next reads, in some instances, we even refer to the house as the temple. There is a sacred. No, you have not. You have not. I appreciate you all so much. Come on, let me, like the fire and everything. Thank you very much. You have not been quiet at all. There's a sacred indication inherent in the concept of a house or homestead that reaches beyond um, the mere that of a mere physical shelter. So please, I wanted everyone, because I have another question, but just to jump in and ask another question to get your ideas around this, right? This concept of there being a sacred indication inherent in the concept of a house or homestead. What is that sacred indication to you, right? What is that sacred part or sacred component um, that is being referred to here, right? What is that sacred part or sacred component that is being referred to here? Because and I'll read it again. There is a sacred indication inherent in the concept of a house or homestead that reaches beyond that of mere physical shelter. Mere physical shelter. So the house is not just, rain falling, let's go in and be sheltered and be protected. It's not just a physical wall, it's not just a physical space of protection, it's not just a physical structure, right? It goes beyond that. And there is, this is directly connected to the idea of it being the abode of a living spirit, right? So if it's the abode of a living spirit, it means there's more happening. There's more happening beyond that physical, piece or structure that we see. Sister Kashia says, having an empty mind means that there's an unwillingness to learn, to receive, and then apply. This creates dysfunction and poverty in the mind and way of living. This is true. Having an empty mind means that there's an unwillingness to learn. This is true. If your mind is empty, then scared, or can you all see me? Because I think I lost connection. So just if you can, let me know if you can still see me or hear me, because I think I lost connection for a while. Let me know. But I'll keep going. Yes, so we see you. Thank you. All right. Okay, good. I thought it was much longer. Thank you. I thought it was much longer. Yeah, so there's the idea of not, sorry, I wanted to go back to your point, your statement, Sister Kashia, and this is my chair making crazy sounds. Unwillingness to learn and to receive and then apply. And like we were talking about the idea of wisdom being that feminine aspect, but even Chief mentioned, one can be done, put, like you said, Sister Kashia, putting the cart before the horse. Like he was saying, there's the idea of the doing even before you receive knowledge, or not even receiving the knowledge at all, but just doing without that direction that knowledge gives us as women. And like I think that's also connected to the idea of the empty mind or the impoverished mind or the unwillingness to learn, right? I also think sometimes too that what happens is there's an assumption that you already know. So since you think you already know, then no additional knowledge is being absorbed or received, so there's nothing to reflect, right? There's nothing to actually reflect at all. So and that leads to an impoverished mind. Dietrich Malone, welcome to Shema Anu, welcome to the space. Dietrich says, a mind that has understanding itself, a mind that is in the undered. I am not quite sure of your statement. Can you repeat or rewrite the sentence or statement, please? When you say a mind that has understanding itself, please elaborate on that. Brother Antonio says, after listening to the A House is Not a Home segment, not the song. I don't even know the song, so no problem. It made me consider a body like an onion. Hmm. The consciousness of the Most High is at the center and gets more solid as it expands, outward. Right, right, right. And it's interesting when you think of an onion and you think of growth. Um, when you think about how an onion, even how an onion grows, it's that growth actually continues from the center and it expands out. Um, Antonio says also Chief had used a similar example during the winter solstice segments as well. Yes, this is true. This is true. This is true. This is true. Oh, I have a good bit of people joining and coming on in. Nefatia Sebro, greetings, peace, peace, peace. How are you? No, long time no see. Long time no see. Good to see you. Good to see. Well, good to see your name and your avatar. Thank you for joining us here. Nefatia says, I am reminded of the saying, God, cleanliness is next to godliness. And so that one's embodiment is mirrored in the space around you in which you dwell and thrive. Right, 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 right. So it's going back a little bit to even but what Brother Antonio says, it's like it's one seamless hub, right? It's one seamless body, right? And so it isn't really segregated or separated. There's this, everything is a reflection, right? Everything is a reflection. Top tier speakers, why am I reading but not selecting or highlighting? Top tier speakers is oh, top tier speakers is going back to the question on intellectual property. Thank you. So I'll just read it. She says intellectual property, effective budgeting, website creation, virtual course creation, virtual course creation, no basic music theory, natural household and body products creation, marketing research tool. Very good. All right, that is a long list. You making me want to go back and reevaluate my list and be like, oh yeah, but I didn't think of this thing. I need to put this down too. This is a thoughtful list as well. Thank you very much for like including all of the things that, and these are these are skills that we develop over time, right? And you know a lot of the ones that you've shared here, I mean, with the exception, I think, of the household and body product creations, right? Because you could tinker and do those and learn while you go, but all the others require that basis of knowledge, and attaining of knowledge first in order to build your way up to the wisdom or the application of it. All right. Chief says a room is still a room, or even when there's nothing there but gloom. But a room is not a house, and a house is not a home. When the two of us are far apart, and what is this, a song or something? And one, oh, this is the song. Is this the song that you were talking about, Brother Antonio? I think so. Oh my goodness, I got caught. I'm over here reading like if as if Chief, Chief Yuya is a musician. For those of you who do not know, so I'm reading it. I'm like, okay, well, this kind of sounds like a song. Maybe it's an excerpt. So I'm here thinking I'm reading some, works that he has on the cover in the, wood somewhere. I'm like, okay, No. But okay. But this is true. Let me finish reading. When the two of us are far apart and one of us has a broken heart. Oh boy, this sounds like a Judy Mowat version of a song. She always talking about. She always thinks about broken hearts. That's not a dry truth. Don't worry. It sounds like it, but it's not. Excuse me. Sorry. I just had to clear my throat just a little bit. Sister Deidre says, yes, stop this because we got to protect that intellectual property at all times. All right. Big loofah. I don't know who loofah is. I don't know. The only loofah I know, let me see if I have. The only loofah I know is the loofah for scrubbing. Okay? Don't laugh at me, Brother Antonio. I did not know it was a song. And when I got to the end, I was like, oh, this sounds like a song. Maybe it's Chief's song. And then I see loofah. And I'm like, well, the only thing I know about loofah is Tasha. That's what you use to scrub your body. That's what I know. I don't know loofah as an artist. Big loofah with this sequin blazer. Oh my goodness. He had a sequin blazer. Is he from? This is a artist from the 80s. The 80s. Oh, what do I know? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna go look up the song and I'm gonna go look up Big Loofah because I have no idea. She actually read it out loud. Jeez. Oh, yes, I did because I thought it was something you were saying. Oh my gosh. Loofah lessons. Yes, I need some loofah lessons because the only loofah lesson I know is circular motions. Yeah, circular motions. Okay. Top tier speaker says empty mind in a state of doing and being in a flow state. Empty mind in a state of being or doing and being in a flow state. Huh, interesting. All right, let's go back. And top tier speakers, if I'm not mistaken, are you speaking about a Taoist concept? The idea of when you say empty mind in a state of, um, when you say empty mind, are you saying in a state of doing and being in a flow state? I think you may be referring to the idea of Taoist concept, um, which is true and accurate. Um, but I also think here it's what is being said is that the empty mind is being considered an impoverished one, and something that's impoverished is poor. Something that's impoverished is in a state of lack, and not necessarily that it's in a state where it's open to, fully open to receive or open so that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it isn't in a state of just being open to receive, but it's actually a closed mind that's blocking off any absorbing of new knowledge or absorbing of knowledge, direction, instruction, or anything of the sort. No, she says, no, that ain't no reggae, a reggae ripoff. Are you saying Judy Moore sings reggae ripoffs? Oh my gosh, that ain't nice. That ain't nice. Interesting, Sister Deidre. Let me clear my throat. Yes, okay. At least I got one. I got that one. Let me clear my throat. Okay. Sis, the top tier speaker says, never thought of it like that. Luther Vandross, we call him Luther. Oh, where I am from. Like, oh, Luther. I thought it was Luther. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But we always end up in a space where we both end up blowing open some like cultural differences and learning new things, because they end up learning, they're like, what, this is crazy. So yeah, whatever. But this is true. Yes, you're right, Brother Antonio. Hilarious. I am a laughing stock sometimes. Sorry. um Julia, um okay, let me see if I can explore. Dietrich Malone says, through the action of understanding itself, the mind becomes naturally quiet, not empty, but full. Is that what you were saying from before, Dietrich? Because I only read the first portion, but there was it felt as if it was an incomplete thought. It felt like it was an incomplete thought. Yes. Top tier speaker says Luther. Yes, you're lost. They're talking about Luther Vandross, top tier speakers. Oh my gosh. Yes, light bulb. I was referring to the Tao and flow state. Yes, I figured. Yes, yes, yes. I was trying to catch up answering the questions. I know, I agree with you. I will agree with you when because you were clear. You said that empty mind is equal to being in a state of flow. All right. So I see where your thought process was coming from. Thank you. She says, I was referring to the Tao and flow state. I was trying to catch up answering the questions and missed the content. No need to, because you actually introduced a new perspective. A new perspective. She says, to be rich in material possessions creates additional attachments in the brain. This steers thinking away from the Most High, which is the first step of being poor in spirit, which is inner poverty. Okay. Okay. So I can, my mind, so it goes back to the idea of um, the idea of the abode of the living spirit, and an empty mind being a mind that's disconnected from the Most High. So I, even though I could be thinking about all of the earthly possessions that I have, which, which one I have, which one I want, which one, that's still equivalent to an impoverished mind, because um, I'm really not thinking about like forward thinking thoughts or thinking about others, but I'm actually just thinking about the physical possessions or items that depict wealth that I can attain. Right? So is that what is being on? Because as I read it, I think about the idea of attachments and material attachments, and how that can take us away from wanting to take us away from obedience and submitting to the will of the Most High, which is what Yah wants. Yah wants us to submit, so if we're not submitting, but, like we're holding on to everything else, and if we submit to the will, then yes, submitting to the will may not necessarily mean these material possessions will come, right? Um, though scripture tells us too that we need money for all things. So, you know, it's interesting. And I understand like money is separate from material possessions. All right. We are pausing and start. We have like about 4 or 5 more of these to go. Um, the next I'm gonna jump into the next. We talked about the homestead, the concept of a house or homestead, that is beyond the physical, the idea of a physical shelter, but a spiritual abode or a spiritual hub is how I'm seeing it. Um, Nefatia says, empty mind reminds me of empty barrels make the most noise. Yes, indeed. Indeed. That's how they make drum pan, steel pan. Make oil drum, steel pan, and drums because, and they make noise because it's a big old vessel that's empty. Um, it is lacking in substance, internal material. It is loud for no reason. It needs to be filled or nourished. Good. Good. Thank you for sharing that. I thought you popped off. I'm glad you're here still. Never dear. Um and we're reading, for those of you who are just jumping on, I do see new names and new faces. For those who have an icon. We're reading, this is Shema, and we are opening our Sabbath. I am reading from the Anu Way, and you can get a copy of the Anu Way from Anu Life Global Ministries. You can see this link in the description to this video on YouTube. And as Sister Kashia says, like, comment, and share, and please subscribe so you can join us again next Yom Shishi or next Friday, and continue to build. Let's keep going. Chi says, when we are stuck on ego, we deny the presence of the Creator in the mind. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Meaning poor in personal spirit. I see. So the focus goes beyond the person or the personality. The focus is on the Most High. The focus is on the Most High. And so as you shared that, I started to think about how that transfers to just a house, an actual house, a home, and how that idea of poverty or being poor in that personal spirit reflects in the home, and also in those who like reside in the home. Like how does that look? What does that look like? Because I think we get caught up in the idea that it should look a certain way, right? There should be a certain level of affluence and so on, and I definitely think so. But for those of you who are still with us and still thinking through and are willing to deliberate in the space, what is there? Do you think there's a look, or there's a certain way that the physical home should be or should look? And not just the physical home too, but the idea of that spiritual temple should look as a homestead or a house, right? And what would it look like for you? Because I suspect that it would look or manifest differently for different households, right? Different homesteads, because of the fact that they're different purposes. So even though we all, like following the will and fulfilling the will of Yah, Yah will have a different purpose for each of us. So the homestead would reflect differently, or reflect the spirit of the Most High differently. So what, like, what do you envision that reflection to be, or that homestead to look like? What do you envision that homestead to be, or what would it look like? And I'm going to get ready for that last question that I have here. Okay, we'll keep going. We are going to keep going, keep moving. This was faster than I thought, actually. I was trying to move through a little bit faster. The next piece of this reading actually brings us to the concept of control, right? The concept of dictating. And I think that goes back to the original, one of the very first questions that I asked about, which was, what intellectual property do you possess, and how do you see it, supporting the home or helping with the economic development of the home? And so our next sentence actually speaks about who's controlling the mechanisms that keep the homestead flourishing or afloat? You know, are you controlling it? Is it being controlled by someone else? You know, that's, and I'm going to read the full sentence, but I want to jump in the chat so that way I don't, you know, like break up the conversation too much, you know, or cut and paste and mix things too much. Chief says, I would say universally a home should be uncluttered and the energy or breeze or current of it should be free flowing. It should also not be intrusive to the environment it is constructed within. So you just come and put a big open cup. You know, and I'm talking about the physical, but like in spirit as well too. I'm sure, depending on the energy of the home and the homestead and those who live there and function in it, actually affects everything else in the environment around it. And definitely uncluttered, and the energy or breeze current of it should be free flowing. I wonder like this portion of the text focuses on the homestead, and maybe I took it to in one direction, and I think whenever we're discussing the Anu way, can go in so many different directions. But if you're thinking about any of the pieces that I read in a different way, or you have a different perspective, please share it in the chat. And I mean, this is for Anu members and anyone else, please share respectfully. And for those of you who you probably don't know where we're reading from the Anu way, and you can access a free copy and download it, so that way you can read along and join the build and add to the discussion. Those who are new, thank you for coming in and joining, and keep on keeping on with us. We have a few more minutes. Chief, I read Chief's comment. I read that piece. Thank you very much for reminding us about like how to keep the home space free, to allow the energy to be free flowing, right? Ipaco Bahamas adds that he says, in addition to being non-cluttered, Chief, I would also say that there will be more of a simple look in interior design, and everything that your eyes touch would have a clear, purpose-filled placement. Okay. A little bit a little bit of feng shui is needed and necessary. That's a good skill to have, right? That's a good skill to have. And I think it may be even simpler than that. You can walk into a space and you can just tell, right? You can feel it. Ipaco Bahamas also says being clean would be mandatory. Some plants everywhere. Okay, I know somebody who have 100 plants. 100. So all right. Thank you for sharing that. If you are thinking about it and you're typing, I know sometimes it takes a little while, so I'm going to jump into the next sentence. And those of you who are willing to share and respond to that question, please put it in the chat. The sentence before the last says, if we do not control the mechanisms that back our homesteads, if we do not control the mechanisms that back our homesteads, we can deduce that we do not administer our lives or our minds. We can deduce that we do not administer our lives or our minds. So I think this goes back to the beginning idea of the house being a representation of the human, and also being a representation of the human mind, right? So if I am unable to and that connection keeps it's like a thread. It keeps connecting throughout the conversation. I see that if I can't control, or I'm not administering to my mind, right? I am not learning and growing and cultivating, then that type of cultivating that um, we think should be happening will not be made manifest in the home. You won't see it. You won't see you won't see it. And that goes back to the idea of control. Because if I'm not controlling the economics, if I'm not controlling that knowledge, if I'm not controlling what I receive or what I absorb, then I'm not cultivating my own mind space, right? It was, yes, it was. Thank you. Agor. Agor. H2O. But then it follows that since the house is a representation of me, right, or us, or we, then it means that if we are not cultivating ourselves, if we're not growing, if we're not developing, then it will be reflected again in the home. If I'm not controlling my source of income, if we're not controlling our sources of income, or how we make build economy, or controlling any business whatsoever at all, but we're depending on, you know, someone else, then I think there's a connection that can be made with our minds as well too, right? And it may just be because you're laughing. It may just be that there's a lack of or a lack of desire to control the mechanisms of one's homestead. But the truth is, if we don't control it, then we cannot dictate, you know, how it grows. We can't dictate the structure. We can't dictate or remove the limitations for that matter, because someone else is imposing them, on us. And the 14 Keys talks about the idea of order, but also being self-determined and being able to um, identify what our limitations are. And if I can do that and I created them, then I can remove them. But if I'm not, and someone else is controlling that, then someone else is controlling my homestead, or our homestead. Someone else is controlling our minds, right? So it's I think it's when we think going back to the idea of intellectual property and even business, and I think someone mentioned using their skills for contracts and things like that. If we're controlling that flow and that economy, then it means that there's a level of freedom, right? There's a level of freedom, not a level, there's freedom in that. And we know freedom is in the mind. So if there is no external control, if there is no man behind the scenes pulling the strings and controlling everyone else or controlling the homestead, then that's freedom, right? That's freedom there. And I definitely think that starts in the mind, and then it expands outward. Kind of like that onion that you spoke about, Brother Antonio, right? Where it's at the core, and then it kind of expands out. She says controlling economics only happens when we tap into the will of Yah, right? Brother Antonio, there was some conversation as I read that one sentence. I remembered something as I was Brother Antonio articulated from the last Shema. She says trying to control behavior with strength only leads to temporary financial gain. Divine knowing brings permanent wealth, right? So so there's a need to tap into the will of Yah and submit to the will of Yah. That's really where that freedom gonna come in. That's where that control comes in. Ipako Bahama says, I have been moved to put wind chimes, often associated to hear the exchange of conversation and laughter of children and women as an indication of a spiritual sound homestead and compound. Oh, you're going back to this is the idea of the, what you envision for the homestead and how it would look. Yeah, wind chimes actually do bring a bit of lightness and airiness and music. I think sound actually improves the energy of our homestead and space, Definitely does. I'm gonna, because I haven't been doing that, so I'm gonna go back to tapping on these, and I'm gonna pull up my question. Did I? I didn't. I don't think I asked my question. I'm gonna ask my question. All right, so I'm just gonna leave it up for a little while so everyone can see it. I know I read it, but sometimes I like to tap on some of these gems because they kind of help us to tie. I know it helps those of you who are listening after the live. It kind of helps you to tie together some of the conversation and some of the things that I am commenting on. What I'll do is after Chief's message, I'm going to switch to the question that I have. What are some of the ways we can control the mechanisms that back our homesteads? What are some of the ways? And Chief just gave it. It's like submitting to the will of Yah. So I'm asking a question, but it's a trick question, no, because Chief gave us, it's like you control the economics by submitting to the will of Yah. Yes, indeed. When we tap into the will of Yah is the way we control economics. It's the way we control economics. So no need for my question then. Brother Antonio, I read Brother Ipaco Bahamas says, Brother Antonio says there's often a surrendering of determining what should be planted in our minds, and we often relinquish that responsibility to societal overlords. This is true. This is true. We actually we give it up. We give it up. We give it up, and that what that means is, instead of Yah being the God that we serve society as a God instead, right? So, if it means that we're submitting to societal standards. And those standards are, we deem more valuable than if we relinquish our responsibility to that, then that's what we're saying is more valuable. And if that's the case, then we don't control those boundaries. We don't control those restrictions. And that means we don't control the mechanics of our homestead. Someone else is. Someone else is. All right, so that leads us, I'm going to take this question down because as soon as I put it, I was like, oh, the answer's there. The answer's there. Give me a moment to switch back and forth. All right. But Antonio also says I'm reminded of one of Chief's segments speaking about how Western culture can beat down our sense of confidence. By the time we are old enough to be considered adults, we didn't know which way was up. It does. It does. It does. Wow. This is true. This is true. This is true. Yeah, you are that was not cough. It wasn't really a cough. It wasn't really a cough. I really need to. I'm gonna go soon. Oh, that was Brother Antonio also says knowledge and application of economics can help us to spare our children from the same fate. Right. when we talk about generational curses and we talk about breaking, generational curses, and, if this is not what we're doing, then we're not breaking generational curses. If we're not tapping into the will of Yah and controlling our economy, and which will lead to the freedom that we all want, then we're perpetuating those cycles of curses all the time. All the time. So, yeah, that knowledge and application of economics can spare our children. All right, it can. Top 10 speaker says tapping into the will of Yah reminds me of why those who have an abundance of material don't necessarily feel fulfilled and are still lacking internally, right? Because I think we were having a conversation around the different types of man, and the superior man would be the man who actually is tapping into the will of Yah. So what he's doing and how he's functioning. Listen, he's saying that, aka what? Oh my gosh. um but early on something was said, and I saw it, and I was trying to pull on that conversation because I think it's a SHEMA that I was actually facilitating, and we're having a great build, and Chief shared a little bit about, he shared a lot. But there was a clarification about the superior man. And what I pulled from that is that the superior man does not lean on his own like desires, but is leaning on the will of Yah, pretty much. So when you say, you bring up that point, top tier speakers, about those who live with an abundance of material, but they're like, you open their inside and it's like nothing. There's nothing in, when you have a budding flower, and I'm sorry, I have budding flowers outside. So you have a budding flower, for those of you who care. And on the inside, when you peel, or you allow the leaves to open, or you just peek inside, because sometimes I peek inside and it's just this big old bulb of air in the middle. There's nothing in there, but all of the outer petals are really pretty, they're beautiful. That's the visual I get when you say, and though there are people who they live in affluence, abundance of materials, not necessarily abundance, but abundance of material, and they're unfulfilled, right? They feel there's a lack internally. Yeah, yeah. It's the purpose. Their purpose. They're not purpose driven. Because I think when we're purpose driven, we're leaning on the will of Yah. We're leaning on and being guided by that. Chief says we can control the mechanisms of our homestead by checking to see if they align with our nation's laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay. I thought my question was null and void, considering your previous statement. So I took it down. But anyone and everyone else, please feel free. Chief has answered. Anyone else? Please feel free to share. Thank you again. I'm going to put it up on the screen. We can control the mechanisms of our homestead by checking to see if they align with our nation's laws, statutes, and commandments. All right, that's a good one. Brother Antonio, I don't know who Bobby Boucher is. The name sounds familiar, but he's on speed dial. The water boy. Oh my goodness. I don't think she will know the movie reference. I will not know the movie reference. I will not know the movie reference. Peace, Kel Fitness. Peace to you. Welcome. Welcome again, because I think I've seen the name before. Y'all are laughing. Yeah, that alligator is honoring because of his medulla. I don't know what's going on. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. It's not good. Boucher! Oh my goodness, Boucher. I don't even know. I'm like, vulture, vulture, vulture. What do you mean? um, yes, I'm fine. I mean, thank you. I know I don't even know Boucher, but maybe it sounds like something I probably heard Sister Deidre mention before. Because, like if I don't know something, maybe I'll ask her about a movie reference, or she'll always say something to me. Because I don't know the Boucher. I was just like, hey, that's Bobby Bojo over there. Boucher. I'm a what? Spots? Okay, let me drink the water. All right. It's you know why? It's because I have pineapple peel drink waiting on me. That's why. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. So that's why. But that's, I need to drink this water. I feel bad doing it though. It's kind of like, okay. Uh, Top tier speaker says probably some fantastical drink she creates and doesn't want to show us. No. No. It's just plain old water in a big old jug. All right, last piece. Last piece. Last piece. Oh, Sister Deidre. Oh, now you come. Now you come. You should have been in the chat, be like, Boucher. This is the pronunciation, Sister Moksha. Boo. Shay. Because I didn't know. Uh, she's holding out on family. Oh my gosh, you're wrong with this. Yeah. Well, what if I do pick up a bottle and it have like there's like a bunch of bark and some stuff in it? Everybody's gonna be laughing. It's gonna be scandalous. Scandalous. Mama say happiness is from magic rays of sunshine that come down when you're feeling blue. Drink the water and be happy. Okay, I'm gonna drink the water. Muting. Goodness, I am reading away. Oh my goodness. She says oh my goodness, I am sorry. I am reading away, y'all. I am in the groove. All right. So last piece, right? Last piece, cooperative economics. And earlier on, I was making a bit of a hinting toward this reference, right? That and I love the 14 keys for that because of the way it brings all of the different principles together. But then I always see cooperative economics as sitting, you know, above. Like everything kind of leads to what it. Faith too, actually. All right, you can see. We can still see you. You can see me drinking the water. Oh my goodness. I didn't want you to. I didn't want you to with my big old jug. So earlier when we were talking about intellectual property, and we were all, a few of us were sharing about the different items we have on our list. that are an indication of how we use our intellectual or the intellectual property that we actually possess that can be used to establish economic growth and development in our homesteads. I was thinking about how all of these skills and these different creations and these things that we create, how they interconnect, and how each of these interconnections actually feed each other, and that networking. Wait, you're having a I'm talking to myself, okay? Because everybody's talking about water. Now I see elderberry in the conversation. I don't know what is happening at this point. This is a runaway SHEMA. That's what's going on. It's a runaway. Uh, you know how they say you have a runaway bus? A runaway SHEMA for all those who are popping in and, y'all having a good laugh at me because I'm talking and the lie is going one way and I'm going another way. Please like, share, and subscribe. And come on back next Friday. It's going to be even more hilarious because the two brothers will be back and they'll be breaking down another section of economics. But you know yeah, I was just thinking about when I see corporate economics, I constantly think about networking and how we can scaffold each other's businesses within a community, right? And even within a homestead as well, because within a homestead, one homestead can have several different businesses that build on top of each other or have interconnections. But I read the last piece, and for those of you who want to share from the last question, how can we control mechanisms of that back our homestead? I think that's a great question because it helps us to begin to think about the things that we can do. Um, as many of us think about moving forward into homesteads or going through courtships and getting ourselves ready for an actual homestead. Um, Let me go back up because I missed everything. A whole eye drop full of water. Yes. An eye drop full of water. What is an eye drop full of water? I can't even conceptualize it. I don't even know what that would be. Anti-water. Yes. Okay, so I'll be honest. With the last 3 days, all I have been drinking was tea and water. So I'm actually just don't even want water right now. That's what's going on. It's just, I just want to throw it. She took a drag from her water filtering straw. She doesn't even trust post-boil distilled water. Oh my goodness. I am not. The jug is the key. It's probably a Liberry jug wine. Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't tell. But for those of you who are coming on the retreat, maybe, maybe just maybe you get a little dose of it, a little bit of the elderberry tonic, not wine, because I ain't making no wine. I don't know the last time I made wine though. You hear me? Okay, good. Chi says, nope, we're learning and joking. Edutainment at its finest. Very good. I love it. I love it. But I tested the new batch for economic purposes. I certainly did. I certainly did. And it brought in spirit, I tell you. Anyway, let me stop talking silly. Oh my goodness. I like that one, but Antonio tested the new batch for economic purposes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. In the spirit of cooperative economics, I may need some visual creatives and some designs to help support. I will reach out to you. Chief says, all you sisters trying to water fast before the retreat to put on your best appearance. We know what out. Oh my goodness. Caught red-handed. I don't have anything red to put on my hand. Caught. That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. I normally fast on Wednesdays, and it used to be something that I did consistently, and I fell off for a while, a long while. 365 days too long away from it. So, yeah. But I'm not trying to put on your best appearance. We know what y'all up to. I'm gonna put on an extra 10 pounds just for you. Where are my yam fries? Yam fries. Oh my goodness. Yam fries. Yay. Uh Yams will make you put on, make you grow yams. Oh my gosh. Oh, the drier it is, higher the alcohol content explains the dry throat. Yeah, it does. I shouldn't say anything, right? It was let me stop giving away all the stuff. I don't know how you Oh my gosh. The cat's out the bag. Yes. Caught red-handed again. Caught red-handed again. Um Here we go with the book. Oh, it was. I'm serious. The spirits told me that I needed to fast, Chief. The spirits did that. I heard it. Okay, let me stop. Let me stop being silly. There's nothing wrong with that, Sister Moksha. Water fast away. I only did 3 days. It's the wine. It's not the wine. Okay. So that is it for this evening. Since no one wants to talk about cooperative economics and the flow of currency in our home, everybody's talking about water. And since water is fluid and fluidity, and water is definitely connected to flowing and currency and all things moving, I think it's appropriate that we close off with talking about my water fast. Right. Anyway, I mean, silly. Um, I love building with you all. Thank you so much. It's almost like 2 hours of dialogue and conversation. The last piece of the last Okay, let me read. Let me read before I say this. What, Sister Araby, this is the funniest. It is, oh my goodness. Ema Precious, you're back there just chilling, laugh, having a good laugh. Oh, a good old laugh. She says, y'all trying to be cute while we're out here there camping. A bunch of y'all who's sneaking off, eating vegan treats in the woods. Yes. Vegan I can't even imagine sneaking off eating vegan treats in the woods, because I personally know some people who would be, if they see honey badger eyes reflecting in the dark, they will be roaring scandalously. It'll take away from all of our stealthiness and our covers will be blown. So I will not be sneaking off to eat vegan treats with some people, because they'll be yelping and screaming and give us away. So yeah, no. Oh my goodness. Oh. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I caught that. Oh my goodness. Water moves in currents just like my cheddar. What? What is your cheddar, Chief? Chief has cheddar? What is this cheddar, Chief? The spirits, aka alcohol. Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I am rolling over here. I'm not plastered. I'm literally, I'm plastered. If I'm plastered, I'm plastered from water. Oh my goodness. But can I say something? I watched a documentary of a woman who, um, she was actually trying to work on her weight, or there was another issue she was having. There was another dis-ease she was trying to get over. No, serious, straight facts. and she read somewhere that she should be drinking turpentine. So she decided to buy gallons of turpentine. And then, for convenience, she decided to transfer said turpentine into clear glass jars with no labels, and decided not to put it in a different color. So she drank turpentine as if she was drinking water and ended up in the hospital. So I don't know why the story actually saying it, but it's just like, it's just crazy. As soon as you answer, I was just like, that came to mind. Chief says we're going to Bobcat County country. Yes, really. Yeah. So flashlights and machetes will be necessary. All right. Flashlight. Listen, flashlight and machete is not gonna help anybody who see glowing eyes and their heart fall in their toe. Because if your heart's in your toe, you don't even know where to go. I'm rhyming, but that's for real. I'm gonna leave y'all alone in the woods. Um, See, this is what I need to know in advance. Who is bringing the treats? Place tent. No, place tent far away. Money is cheddar. Ah, this is right. Okay, this is true. I didn't know that. My fettuccine, of course. Mountain lions in Georgia? I don't know. I don't know. Chief got the cheddar, y'all. I'm gonna put that on a banner the next time I come in. I should have type it up. Chief got the cheddar. We need to get Marchand Ibarics dictionary. Oh my goodness, I do. Why am I the worst storyteller? It's broken. Why am I the worst storyteller? I mean, the woman ended up in the hospital. She drank turpentine, she went up in the hospital. That's what you get. That's what you get. I'm just saying. You heard about the turpentine lady? Maybe President Trump told her to do that. Wasn't he telling people to do bleach communion not too long ago? Bleach communion. Okay. Moral of the story: water good, turpentine bad. Turpentine by the gallons is bad. Indeed. Cheap cheddar. Yes. I love it. This was really a great build and lots of laughs. There was just a lot to talk about, a lot to build on. But I'm also glad that we didn't just like bombard this, because there's just so much in this paragraph too, to take away or to walk away with. And one of the things that I like the way I like the way this section is built, because there is that preparation of breaking down what economics is, and like really pulling on the representation. I think it really brings the concept of economy and economics home when we get to actually look at economics through the a lens that says the economy of the home is a reflection of what's happening here in my mind, right? And so whistles are still going on. Oh my God. Listen, there's a whole other chat happening in the conversation. There's a whole other conversation happening in the chat. And I'm trying to wrap up nicely. And everybody's talking about mountain lions and lynx and fox, chamois. Brown bears? There are no brown bears. Are there brown? No, there are no brown bears. No, they are brown bears. There are brown bears. Yeah, I haven't seen you mention snakes, and copperheads love the heat of Georgia. Copperhead snakes love the Georgia heat, so I'm sure that's part of it too. It is going to be a blast. I know it is. I will go to the woods with vegan snacks just to see just to see people hop and skip and jump, just for the fun of it. Whistle them to death. Okay, I don't know. That whistle probably will take a break after the amount of blowing it got not too long ago. Bring a silver bell. One of the brothers will come running. Well, Master Antonio, since you are here, you are responsible for the silver bell. How far will the parking lot be from the tents? Why? You want to run to your car for cover? Run to the car for cover. All right. This was real. Thank you so much. I forgot the spiel I had in closing, but I really it's still going. It's still going. Top tier speaker says, please don't tell those animals. Although the children are prepared and know what to do, I don't. Well, let them show you what to do. Let them show you what to do. Yeah, let them show you what to do. Go go look up a little database and see all the animals, all the type of snakes that can be found there. Oh, I didn't even get onto the snakes, the vipers. There, yeah, they have. I personally have seen black um snakes in Georgia, poisonous, big, thick, coiled up, waiting. So yeah, interesting. I'll be ringing that bell from a top of the top, a roof, a roof. Which roof? The roof of the kitchen. Listen, this is gonna be wild. Whoever is taking video footage and photo, please, please, it's gonna be a ball. So for those of you who hear us talking about camping and so on, our New Life Global Ministries will be camping very soon. We'll all be meeting up to touch base and connect and build and deliberate together, share space and break bread together this month of March, the third month in the year. Three energy all over it. But anyway, so if you are interested in building with a community and being a part of a community and coming to contribute to the building of the community, this community, our New Life Global Ministries, please head on over to the new spiffy, improved New Life Global Ministries website.org, our New Life Global Ministries.org website, and sign up, or ask a question. If you have any questions, drop a question in the comment section underneath this or any of the videos, and someone will respond to you. One of the members will respond to you. And this is only the retreat is only a small portion of a lot of the initiatives and different things that are planned for us to be and share space with each other. So if you want in, jump on to the website. And I also wanted to share that on Sundays, we have a few things happening. On Sundays, we have Anu Radio every Sunday at 9 a.m. Come and vibe with the Anu family. There's less talking, but just a lot of music and beautiful quotes and phrases and solutions to some of our problems and some of our issues. A lot of those are pulled from lectures Chief has done and incorporated with music. Really love it. You'll love it too. Come on, join that not conversation. Join that first day vibe. That Sunday vibe. We also have Anu Life Global Ministries Midday Affirmative on Clubhouse, Sundays at 12, right? That's why it's midday, because it's at 12. Join the conversation, come and build. I think it will be our sister Deidre coming through with some, I don't know what the theme's going to be, but it's going to be good. So just come on in and, feel free to add to the conversation, and look out for our new youth classes coming soon. Check out anulifeglobal.org for any and all information. And that's it. We're gonna close. They're still laughing in the chat, laughing it up. Jeans and socks is now a part of the conversation. I don't know why. Persian leopards in Georgia is also a thing. I've never heard of it before, but that's something to research. Oh, sisters, tuck your dresses in your boot bottoms. Wear tights. Oh my goodness, this chat is uh out of control. Yes, Sister Kashia, you can read it alone while I sit on top of the car. I don't know what's happening. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much. This was a beautiful build. Enjoy the rest of your evening and drink water. You know the song? Drink water, mind my business. Drink water, mind your business. Mind your business. Mind the business, yeah. Sturgeons, they are endangered. They are mainly a Black Sea, in the Black Sea. That's where they had the old dirty bastard sturgeon. Okay. Yes. At the very wine with the crazy straw. Give thanks to you all. Peace and power. Wellness is yours. Enjoy the rest of your Sabbath. Rest well. And don't forget, Don't forget, This was good food on economic knowing. Peace. Peace, 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 peace. Peace, Nefertia. All right, all right, all right, all right. I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for joining. See you again next Sabbath.